Yo, we got some absolute insanity in this chapter as IMU'S true and completely unfair powers straight up break all the rules, leaving us to wonder how can anyone possibly stand a chance against this evil, overpowered villain. So make sure to stay tuned for that, chill parking within, and smash that like button if you enjoy seeing One Piece reviews like this one on the channel and want to keep them coming. Make this the video you join the Nakama if you haven't already by subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss future One Piece reviews and updates. And now without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. So this chapter starts off with the giant parents arriving to where the kids are. They say, look, the kids, they're okay. Colin says, old guy from the bar, my daddy got knocked into the underworld. In shock, the response is, what? Yasan got knocked down? The kids say, it was a woman, watch out. Other kids scream out, dad and mommy, as they probably see their parents in the group of adult giants. But on a side note, Gunko's body was taken over recently, like last chapter at the end of it, by Imu, and we see that here. For a long time, people assumed that Imu was a woman, and Imu taking over Gunko's body seems fitting to those who felt that way, but we'll see what ends up happening. In theory, Imu can take over any of these bodies that are under their control, aka receiving the power-up benefits from them. The adults notice that Gunko's body is floating now. Just as the adults are running to help the kids, we get screams. We see what looks like black lightning, Conqueror's Haki, from Imu being released and causing many to faint, as we've seen before with Conqueror's Haki, including the kids. Pretty much, Imu just took care of the weaker giants with that. Obviously, the stronger ones like Dory and Bragi are still awake, wondering what's going on. Props to Yarul, he's still standing too. Then we see Imu's form right now, and we see large black wings, a trident, a giant one, and an arrow-shaped tail like the one we saw pierce Cobra. And if you watch Ned Flanders as the devil in The Simpsons, you'd know that now Imu looks more than ever like she has a devil-powered devil fruit, down to the tail and the trident as well. We also see a mini summoning circle appear in the air and launch some explosive attacks. In this form, Imu says, show no tolerance for resistance. Is that truly all thy MMAs can accomplish, Killingham, meaning his dream monsters? Killingham responds, but High One, I've kept the nightmare holes open. Monsters keep pouring out of people's nightmares all over the island. They come from dreams where the idea of death doesn't exist, which means I can bring them back with a single word. Thus, Killingham's powers seem to be pretty crazy in and of themselves, since all the vanquished or defeated beasts can easily rise again according to him. That power would look all the crazier if Imu didn't top it so badly in this chapter, but we'll get to that soon enough. Imu also says, Summers, guide those brats. He says right away, and the Straw Hats are shocked that he's still alive. Jinbei noticed that something is different about Gunko since Imu took over. Robin wonders where Luffy and the others are before she's told that they are all down in the depths of the underworld. Robin starts trying to break through the thorns, and Jinbei, as usual, is the one to try to calm her down, asking, what are you doing, Robin? She says, if we don't act, we'll end up captured. I'm not going to stand here and do nothing. Imu says, the problem is, who do we bargain with once we have these brats as bait? Summers replies, you're right, High One. The idea of a land without a king is absolutely insane, and he thinks to himself, damn, this hurts, Scopper, you jerk. Still, he does seem to be recovering just slower. So I guess we might think of this advanced Conqueror's Haki, if that is why Scopper's attacks were so effective, acting like a red sword in Demon Slayer. It doesn't completely prevent regeneration, but it hurts and slows it down considerably. Then Gunko/Imu see Dory and Bragi and commands them to seize the country, calling them Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ogre Bragi. So she's positioning them as her followers and also the future rulers of this land. Imu says, ye shall become kings of this land. It makes sense that they should, honestly, if you ask me, but why would they listen to Imu? Bragi grabs Imu furious, asking, you're one of the gods' knights? ? You're the one behind all this chaos in our Elbaf. We're taking the kids back, he says. How many of you are there? At this point, Imu summons a book from one of her many summoning circles. Imu says, hearken, Bragi, thou shalt now go and confront Yarul Bearded Mountain. Off with his head and bear it aloft. Then, before all, proclaim, we are the kings of Elbaf, end quote. It almost seems that Imu can ask the magical book for something and it will produce the tools to make it possible. Obviously, I expect to learn more about the specifics of it as time goes on, but on one note, it seems Ya Rule may not be the shady guy some of us thought he might be, including me for sure. I was on Team Loki myself, thinking he was painted in an inaccurate light by Ya Rule. But perhaps, as we're about to see, Imu took over Loki, more on how that will be possible in a second, and used him for their own ends, and that's how he ended up killing his father, King Harold, even though he didn't really want to himself. We will see what happens, but this chapter definitely gave us some game-changing reveals to consider, and it kind of puts everything we knew before in a different light. Bragi tells Imu, "Shut it. You're not the one who decides your country's fate." A gun and dagger are summoned from the book. Imu stabs Bragi's arm and attacks him with the giant gun. Imu says, "Thou shalt not remain in that form." Bragi loses his one arm as Imu says, "I shall grant unto thee the power of evil." And clearly One Piece is not ambiguous about who the bad guys and who the good guys really are, since literally Imu calls their powers evil. There is no argument to be made that Imu might be pursuing good in their own mind, since it seems they totally accept the evil villain role. The giants who witness Bragi losing his arm and screaming in pain are shocked, commenting it's his strongest arm. They say the woman's gonna regret that, while Imu says, in exchange for a fleeting span of life, thou shalt receive an immortal body and prodigious strength. Under Mu's dominion, thou art bound by neither logic nor reason. End quote. Like I said, breaking all the rules here. Imu continues saying, "For the demon is the very form existence was fated to assume. Demonic contract, a quarrel." Then the craziest thing happens. Bragi starts sinking into the ground. Imu says, "Dark inversion domain domi reversi." He comes out again as a demon with demonic fangs and eyes, even wings, and bigger than ever. His fellow pirates wonder what's happened to their boss. They are terrified, wondering if their boss really turned into a demon and wanting Imu to give them back the real Bragi. Demon Bragi is about to attack while his men say, "But Bragi, we're your comrades. You've never raised a hand against us." Which to me is kind of weird to hear because I know how much he fought against Dory, even though he doesn't really hate Dory. It seems to be a part of the Viking culture, but I guess the point is he's clearly not acting like himself here. He uses a warrior's pride attack and attacks his own men, sending them flying like Team Rocket. The change of heart magic card, or brain control if you prefer, has been played by Imu. Bragi has received demon buffs and switched sides, but he's not the only one. Dory is shown undergoing a similar transformation, so both captains are now under Imu's influence. He says, "Men, let's go kill Ya Rule." As Imu commanded earlier, a lot of their fellow pirates undergo the demonic transformation too. What is a bit weird to me is that I'm used to these kinds of contracts or deals with the devil having to be willingly entered into. That's usually how works of fiction deal with it. But it seems Imu doesn't even need consent to turn people, so that sheds new light on all the other people they've granted powers to. For instance, we saw Gunko's change of character before Imu took over her body recently. Maybe she was also taken over without agreeing to it willingly and turned into a pawn of Imu's. Not saying it's for sure, but now everything is in doubt. It's an insane ability, and the question is, who can't it be used on? Is there a limitation here? I'm guessing there should be, like I doubt it could be used against Joy Boy, but what is that limitation? I'm so curious. Could we have Straw Hats affected moving forward? The possibilities are absolutely mind-blowing. As we see the dream monsters and the demonic giants in front of them chasing away the normal giants, Imu says not bad at all. So this is Elbaf's true power. Don't raise everything, this land must be ruled. Yet let us observe but a little longer to assay their worth in battle. I love how Imu talks like they're from a Shakespeare play or something. Some men tell Ya Rule to run, but he says running isn't something to tell a warrior. Absolutely epic line, so I gotta say, all in all, Ya Rule's image has drastically improved for me in just this one chapter. I expect to see the Straw Hats taking on demonic Dory and Bragi soon, and the question is, what can knock them out of this state? So crazy this chapter was. Let me know what you're thinking about it. Let me know where you think we're going from here. But anyways, if you did enjoy this one, you won't want to miss this video on the screen right now that YouTube says you'll like and subscribe for more One Piece, and I'll see you in the next one.